Yo, 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 you are in the right place. Let me tell you, this episode is not going to be the typical episode. This is going to be for consistency purposes. Someone mentioned that I did a review of Coach Prime season 1 on Amazon, which was very true, and they was wondering if I was going to do a preview or not a preview, a review for Coach Prime season 2 that's on Amazon Prime. My first reaction was the difference in why I haven't been doing it is because the Coach Prime season 1 was literally Jackson State, and a lot of their games weren't on TV. And a lot of the games, I don't care if you tried to find it on YouTube, you really couldn't find it. So that's why that was I gotta watch episode to episode to get through it, even going up to him taking the Colorado job. Fast forward, Coach Prime season 2. I have a lot of observations. I watched every episode, but I'm only going to do one review episode on it. The reason being, most of Colorado's games were on television. And if you could not get it on TV, like if it was on Pac-12 network or whatever, there were certain places you could go to watch it. So it wasn't unavailable nationwide. We were able to review each and every game, which you can look at here. I'm putting the playlist in the description box. All the episodes for each game. I break down each and every game the Colorado Buffaloes played this past season in 2023. So with that being said, that's why it's only going to be one. Each and every episode of Coach Prime season 2 was comprised of his time in Colorado. From the first episode where he got the job, they talked about how he got recruited and how athletic director Rick George flew into New Orleans and then drove up to Jackson or went to his home in greater Dallas suburbs. I believe, I'm not gonna say the city. I'm pretty sure I know what city. I think it's a known secret. The area Coach Prime lives out in greater Dallas area. But with all those lakes and stuff. But that was all of it. Outside of that, everything else we talked about. There were no behind the scenes things. It was like, oh snap, I didn't know, or you wouldn't have thought to know. I've covered this on my channel many times. Shedeur was getting shots based on the shots he was taking. Like based on the tackles and the hits, he was getting shots, and he was getting medication throughout the game or before the game to keep him upright. That was obvious. I could see that as a football player, he would be seriously stiff by the third quarter or the second quarter because of how many hits he was taking. That's a known thing. So outside of that, there was nothing new out of everything. The only things I will say that were pretty cool was you're able to hear him mic'd up when he goes to talk to other coaches that have been talking crap. So the Matt Rule, the gentleman out of Colorado State, Coach Jay, I forgot his name, but he came in and tried to say, hey man, I wasn't talking about your mom. He said, yeah, you was talking about my mama. You know you was talking about my mama. And then they broke up and, went wherever. But my whole point in saying that is, and I hate to be a disappointment, if you watched every Colorado game, you've essentially watched season 2 of Coach Prime. There were a lot of interviews that added on to what was going on, but the gist of it was you'd already seen it. So that's why I'm not doing, episode by episodes. There were 6 episodes. I'm only doing this one review episode. I will say, what I definitely noticed was they went 4-8, so they played 12 games. When I tell you the first 3 games, they stretched that shit out. And I appreciate it. I really do. Because I remember how good that felt. Them coming in, beating TCU. Them coming in, and I was at the TCU game in case you want to check that out. That was a cool episode. I was but then they go to Nebraska, they win. Then they go to, they play Nebraska in Folsom, they won. Then they played Colorado State, which was like kind of a preview of the rest of the season. It really was. They were in a dogfight. They weren't prepared for it, and they had to fight to win. Every other win, well, really the only other win was Arizona State. They had to fight to win that, and they had to fight to be in a lot of different games. And then they got their asses handed to them on a few occasions. But my overall point is they stretched that 3-0 for a long time. I mean, it was up to episode 4 where they was like, y'all gonna get to the rest of the season where the losses in the bottom of the season fell out. But I get it. They want to make good content. They want to make good TV or whatever, good streaming. About like episode 4, they're like, okay, yeah, they dropped it to USC. Was it USC the first? I'm pretty sure it was. No, Oregon. Excuse me. Oregon was the first salvo where they just got their asses handed to them. Here you go. And then they played USC, and then that was, Caleb Williams going to be the first round draft pick, probably first overall draft pick in the first round. Seeing that kind of barometer and that Shedeur was able to match him, that was really cool to see. But once they won against Arizona State, after that, all those losses piled up, they streamed right through that. They went quickly through that. I mean, episode 5 and 6. So episode 6, they had finally got to the Oregon State game. And I was like, yo, y'all got so many more losses after this. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I was like, oh, y'all really gonna breeze by this, aren't you? And that's what ended up happening. So they breezed by the UCLA game, the Washington State game, which was really, really bad. And then, ended the season against Utah trying to have a high note. They had a few catches that were really great by Travis Hunter throughout the season. And then that was it. They're in the locker room in Utah. Coach Prime is talking to him like, hold your head up. I'm proud. I know we didn't finish the season like we started. And I know that's a disappointment, but it's not a disappointing year. You gave it your all. He was very proud of the team. And that was it. They started, telling other stories about the other staff and getting recruiting during the times and going off into to where we are now, which is going to be basically the spring. The thing they did go in depth on, but everybody went in depth on it, was Coach Lewis losing his play calling duties to Pat Shurmur and him eventually, leaving the staff to become the San Diego State University head coach, go Aztecs. And they didn't really have any more interviews after that with him. I think it was kind of, the writing was on the walls. So you heard from Sean Lewis all the way up until that point, and then it was, it was over. And that was back in the Oregon State game or wherever it was where he officially lost his play calling duties. There was no more candid video with Sean after that. He was like, I'm good. Sean or the offensive line coach. After that, like I said, Pat Shurmur came in and kind of set him up for him going into the spring as the unquestioned offensive coordinator. Outside of that, it was nothing new. Everything you had seen before. It was all the same highlights. It was all the same kind of clips and recordings of what transpired throughout the season. The big party with The Rock, having so many people on the sidelines, whether it was Terrell Owens, Warren Sapp, all those different people. It was nothing groundbreaking. I'm not saying don't watch it, but if you watched every game of the season, you're not going to learn a lot new. You're going to say, oh yeah, Shedeur really was hurt, which if you heard my channel and if you watch football, you knew that. Oh, Oregon really beat their ass. Yeah, that was true. You watched the game. He had words with Colorado State head coach because of the mama stuff. That wasn't anything new. He talking about my mama. So, it is what it is. So, if you watch 1 through 6 for Coach Prime Season 2, that's what you'll see. Hopefully, I broke it down. If you don't have Amazon Prime, again, if you were able to watch most or all of the games, you really are kind of caught up on it. I think it's going to be a different approach heading into this spring. I don't think they're going to have cameras like that there for the spring as far as Amazon Prime goes, because that was featured in the build up to the fall. I just don't imagine with how it started, how the season started, I think they're going to pick up there. So I think Coach Prime Season 3 will pick up spring 2020, not spring, but fall 2024. And you'll go from there. Last thing he did go over his health stuff, which I thought was all really a positive prognosis. He had a few more surgeries. He missed the Pac-12 game, but once the season started up and going, he really looked healthy. He really didn't have a lot of issues, so that was really, really good to see. But it wasn't a lot. It was like little snippets and quick views of what's going on. But outside of that, I don't think you missed anything. So for my many followers out there that have hit me up saying, hey, are you going to do season 2 review? I just did it. I really appreciate y'all. Again, this is something that was wanted. I appreciate it. I'm sorry it's going to be podcast only, so don't expect a lot of videos going back and forth and shit. I'm so sorry. So sorry. But hold it down. Heritage Sports.